This confrontation can cancel your career.
Canceled.
Canceled.
Canceled. Canceled.
Canceled.
Canceled.
Canceled.
Canceled.
Canceled.
Canceled.
Cancel
Culture.
podcast.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Cancel Culture, the podcast where a writer's room of diverse Gen Z female comedy writers write a funny, unoffensive joke about a topic that most might consider a no-fly zone in comedy, that even an old, white, cis male dude like my dad can tell and not get canceled for. Today's topic: police brutality. Yay. That's right, we're gonna write a joke about police brutality that even a white dude like my dad can tell and not sound like an asshole. Why?
To show
it's
possible.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna go around and do an introductory poll as per usual. Do you think that we can tell a funny police brutality joke? Yes or no? My name is Jamie. I am one mental breakdown away from storming the Capitol, and I think we can tell a funny police brutality joke. Elayna, what do you think?
Well, hello everyone. My name is Elayna. My coping mechanisms currently are watching TikTok videos of people making their morning coffee and color organizing my fridge. And you know what? I think we can. I think we can write a funny joke about police brutality. I think we can do it. And I'm gonna throw it to Mehek. What you think?
And I caught it. Hey, I'm Mehek. I've had like 3 sex dreams about Jason Sudeikis in the past week, and I don't think we can tell a police brutality joke. What about you, Sarah?
Hi, everybody. I am Sarah. I've had multiple hypochondria-driven, immaculate conceptions. Like I'm a fucked up Virgin Mary. So that's me. And I think we absolutely cannot tell a funny joke about police brutality. I don't think we're the people to do it. This is my Simon Cowell moment. I'm shutting you all down. No.
Wow. Okay, great. So that's 2 for yes, 2 for no. And lastly, and certainly leastly, Evan, who once skied down a mountain in jeans. What do you think?
I had a dream that Jason Sudeikis got me pregnant. So
Hey, back off.
Way to commandeer that moment. Okay. Right. So I think it's time to show a bad example of a police brutality joke. We're gonna start off with a Family Guy example. And just a little bit of a trigger warning here before we hit play. This is actually like a pretty brutal joke. The sound effects are pretty intense. And it is ultimately of a black man, though cartoon, but still a black man being beat up. So, listeners, just brace yourselves, or if that's not something you want to listen to at this given moment, I completely understand. So here we go. Family Guy, police brutality.
Ah, dang it.
Do you have any idea how fast you were going, sir?
Peter?
Hey, Cleveland, this is just so we can talk without getting spotted by Lois or Donna. I need you to step out of the car, sir.
Peter, there's gotta be a better way.
He's got a knife! Sorry, Cleveland, it's gotta be authentic. Stay down! Stay down! Cleveland, try to grab my gun. Oh, trying to grab my gun, are you?
Hey, rookie, save some for me.
Wow, the whole gang's back together.
Shut up! We don't need you in this town.
We don't need you in this town.
Cool.
I just really wonder who sat down at the table and passed this through so many levels of editing and was like, that's the one. That's the one. His friends have to beat his ass. That's how we're gonna do it.
Like it took artistry, and that makes me upset. Someone had to like draw and create the visual image.
Multiple editors had to sound mix that.
I think Evan liked it.
Evan.
I think I understand what they were going for. I understand what the point of the bit was.
You know what?
I'm
going to stop you. Wait, I'm going to interrupt you because I feel like we've run into this multiple times. I just want to say that intention does not excuse outcome.
I'm not
So
saying
it
that it
doesn't-
does.
I'm just
I'm
saying,
not
like,
saying that it does.
regardless of what they were going for, when they saw the final product, I feel like somebody in that room could have been like, maybe we didn't achieve what we set out to. Like,
Right.
it's
Shut
just,
it down.
I'm just
Stop
saying.
the presses.
Well, the question has to be how many people, how many Black people were in the room when they were writing and cutting that? Because it doesn't
That is always the
feel-
question.
Doesn't feel like a lot.
No.
It feels like very few. I
No.
still understand what their intention was. I'm not saying it excuses the outcome, but this is one of the reasons why I don't really watch Family Guy and never really appreciated the humor is like, I'm going to take this thing that's a kernel of a thing, and then I'm going to literally, in this case, beat it to death. And I understand where their intention was. It does feel like no one in the room had any background of color in their lives, because it just feels so uncomfortable and painful to watch.
I think audience, like, you have to be aware of your audience too, to some degree. I think it's like a debate, right, of how responsible you are for your viewership and what they do with what you make. And
Mhm.
obviously, like, that is a very complicated, nuanced topic, right? But I think that if you're Family Guy and you want to make a bit or a joke about police brutality because you think that it's important, and you think that it's important enough to be in an episode as like a thing of like, no, this is reality, right? Like, we should put it in. You have to remember that your audience is younger. It's like definitely more male leaning, like middle school. Like, it's like these
Mostly
are kids
white,
who like
mostly white.
they're not gonna, yeah. And they're not gonna watch this and be like, oh wow, what a nuanced, interesting take on like a really upsetting. They're just gonna be like, ha ha ha, it's so
They're-
funny because he's in pain.
Right, exactly.
Like, what?
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like also it's a joke about the absurdity of police brutality, even if that was what they were going for.
Right.
It feels like it's a joke that's like, haha, police brutality happens.
Yes.
Right.
Like, it doesn't feel like there's like any added layer of like, it just
Right.
feels like, haha, like this is something that actually happens. Isn't that wild?
Right.
Like,
And Peter says, okay, this is the crazy thing. Peter hasn't seen Cleveland because their wives won't let them hang out, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's the background of this.
Oh,
And
you know
Peter-
the episode.
And Peter tells him, I do. Peter tells him, like, it has to be authentic. Okay, who are you saying that for? Authentic
Yeah.
for why? Cleveland
Yes.
already knows what happens with the cops. Like, he's excited to see you. Why the hell are you beating the shit out of him? Like, come on, Peter.
yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
I think that would have made the joke work maybe better, like if it had been like there's a crowd of people are watching, it's like making the joke work, like maybe don't take it so far physically, but like
Right.
fake it and say it has to look believable because someone in the crowd
Right.
interjects like,
That would have
"Do
been
you guys
even
know each
funnier
other?"
if they were pretending, if he was pretending to like, and they were chatting about something else.
Or
on
if
the
there was like a
side.
bystander who was trying to stop it or
Right.
something.
Yeah.
It's like, we're acknowledging that what's happening right now is bad.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's the issue also, that in general, we're so desensitized to it. The fact that the videos circulate so often and then everybody on the news plays the whole clip, and we don't need to consume Black bodies being beaten to death or shot. We don't need to see it to have empathy. And that really frustrates me. And I feel like a lot of these jokes, like with the Family Guy, like we don't need to see it in real life. Like, why is it funny to watch it in a cartoon?
Yeah.
This is a real thing. This is traumatic. Like, we don't need to be consuming it.
Well,
Yeah.
it's like, even also like by putting it in a cartoon, you're like also driving home the point further that this is like something that's so pervasive, because cartoons in general, like adult cartoons, The Simpsons, South Park, Family Guy, they all serve as like an absurd reality, right? Like, they all take things that happen in real life and make them absurd. Like, we see it time and time again, like, the episode of South Park where they go to the DMV, or there's these circumstances that we all connect with in real life, because that's what makes it funny, is that you recognize it in your own world, but it takes it one step further in the cartoon. So then to see something like Family Guy do something that like isn't really at all absurd, it's just an imitation of a real life thing that's horrible, and not really layer it with anything else, makes it feel like you're saying that the real life stuff is inherently like cartoony or like it doesn't have as much impact or whatever. It feels like it's like trivializing this thing that is an experience for real people. Like I don't know, it just
but then it's hard to make a joke that doesn't, I don't know how it can be fun, like it's not funny with the trivial element, but then I don't think it's funny if we strip it of the trivial element either, because then we're kind of just saying what is obviously true, which is that police brutality is bad, and then that's not a joke, you know? So that's maybe where the difficulty is going to come from. I'm foreshadowing. So I just overall think that was a pretty unsuccessful joke that ultimately probably did more harm than good. Yeah, I'd say the same.
I think that's fair.
Solid.
All right, let me stick this point in here. We'll use it or we don't have to. Seth MacFarlane is a pretty progressive guy. He leans very left. He's very outward about his belief in certain causes. But it shows you that something that Pastor Mike McBride once said to me, which is everything I need to learn about racism, I learned from liberal white people, and oftentimes by trying to help.
This is why I say I'm not going to date another Bernie bro. Sorry, Bernie bros. I'm not dating you again.
That was my issue.
Hashtag woke. Hashtag woke.
And they're like also like not
comments.
good at anything. Like Bernie bros aren't good at anything. You know what I mean? I'd rather
You're really trying to spark the flames in our comment section. We already got hate for
all
saying
the
that.
people trying to date me. I want Republican MAGA man.
Tea Party youth only. No, there was a hate comment in our in our Instagram the other day about how we were talking about Walt Disney's head being frozen, and somebody was like, enough with this already, like we all know it isn't true, like please stop. And I was like, first of all, are you like a sympathizer? What's going on
Disney
here?
adult, probably just the most basic.
They are.
I looked at her profile.
Jesse, the person who edits this episode. He's just got back from Disneyland. He's a huge Disney World.
Maybe it was
Wow. It was Jesse's burner
Jesse.
account.
Probably Jesse.
Jesse, we see.
What's the name by any chance? Jesse on the account?
That was Disney Princess 11555.
No, for real.
That's him.
All right, we're going to take a quick ad break. And then when we get back, we're going to talk about some good examples of police brutality jokes.
Don't want to call 911 because, you know, ACAB? Introducing 1-800-NOT-COPS, the emergency responders for emergency responders. We've all heard stories of cops showing up, swinging their big meaty claws around and fucking shit up for everybody. But with 1-800-NOT-COPS, those days are over. I know you're thinking, that number is so much longer than 911. Yeah, fair, but we'll still get there faster than our balding boys in blue. Call our number, and a swarm of camera women and men will surround your vehicle on motorized scooters and Heelys. With a constant live stream to a room of civil rights lawyers and non-binary tweens with huge TikTok followings, no police interaction will go unmonitored. Broken arm? Severed leg? Because a cop broke your arm and severed your leg, we'll send a skater boy with an extra board to get you straight to the hospital.
Everything all right, ma'am?
Yes, but no thanks to you. Call 1-800-NOT-COPS because anything is better than the cops.
All right. Wow. What an ad. What an ad. Welcome back, everyone. We are going to delve into a good example, dare I say, of a police brutality joke. Elayna, do you want to cue this up for us?
I do. Yes. I have an awesome example because I am trying to change Sarah's mind on this episode. It's by Eric Andre from his Legalize Everything Netflix special. Can't wait to see what you think.
Do you remember the show Cops? Did you guys ever watch the show Cops? Is it just me, or is reggae the most inappropriate music they could have picked to open up the show Cops? You can't slap reggae over police brutality footage and call it a day. That's not an intro for a show. The intro to Cops is like, you're under arrest, you unarmed innocent black teenager. Boom! Jamaica mon gone downtown. Rastafari, welcome to the island of peace and purity. This is a system invented by rich, white, Christian, heterosexual businessmen. And if you don't match that description, then it is my job to subjugate and oppress you, motherfucker! For I am your judge, jury, and executioner! Under the sea, butter, butter.
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
Right? You see
Yeah,
what I'm
no, that was
saying?
fantastic. Like that was actually phenomenal, and I loved it so much. I thought it was really funny. But what I do have to say is, I think a big part of maybe why that was really funny is because he was black, and we are writing a joke for
100%.
Evan, who absolutely could not get away with such a soundscape. And
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe
yeah.
not the gun sound.
Well,
effect.
before we get
Or
into
the reggae.
I have an idea.
Wait,
Like
before
to
we
try though.
before we get into whether or not we can do it for
That was
Evan,
really funny. Though.
let's talk about what worked
Yeah.
about that joke
Thank
though.
you.
Like
I thought it was funny too.
Well, he's just fucking hysterical.
Hysterical.
So
yeah.
funny. His timing, the actual physicality of the joke.
yeah.
He sets
Yeah.
it up very nicely.
Although he takes the funny guy, the Family Guy scenario, same almost scenario, and actually makes the joke work, which I thought was really impressive.
Yeah, well, so what I think works about it is like he does that, except that he says in every single like interlude, he says exactly the thing that is true about police brutality. Like he's not just like beating them up. He's
as
saying,
a friend,
like,
right?
police brutality.
Commenting on it.
He also says the words police brutality, which like I don't think you've clocked that no one else has said that. Like in the bad examples, like he says police brutality, and he says like, this is a system created to oppress you. Like he says,
If you don't look like this, I'm going
exactly.
Like he says everything that's wrong with the circumstance and then makes the joke about it. Yeah.
Right.
Mehek.
It's very oh, go ahead, Mehek.
Sorry.
No, you're totally fine. I was just gonna say, I think to that point, like he uses his time really, really well. Like there's no like dead space in between anything he's doing. So like each time when he switches into the cop and into the song, like everything is so purposeful.
Yeah.
And then he also like commits. Like that joke doesn't work unless you are sweating profusely and screaming the way he is and like freaking out. And like it's so funny to have that contrast between like this fake cop like freaking out and then the reggae, and like you have to double down and commit and then like take great advantage of like the writing and the timing. So it's just like a perfect delivery too of like a great joke.
Because he sets it up, this is wrong. And then he pauses for you to absorb how terrible that it is and how absurd that this TV show was so successful. And then brings in the light reggae, like, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah. Also the overkill, like in the Family Guy thing, the beating is like still realistic. Like it's like he's beating him up, but like it's realistic beating up, you know. At least in Eric Andre's joke, it's like even with the violence and the sound effects, like he's like doing like the like whatever sound,
so
like
funny.
it's like
in the
so
circle.
in the
That's
circle,
a
like,
great part.
it's like he's still taking it one step further. Like obviously like Black people do get shot, and like that's not the exaggeration. The exaggeration is that he's like doing a machine gun like sound like as a cop, like, so it's like it's taking it to an extreme still. Even though that's something that really like people do get killed, it's like he's doing it further. I don't know.
Right, because he's adding that element of reality, but adding the absurdity, which is what makes the joke funny.
And what Family Guy failed to do.
Yes.
Yeah. Something that's also interesting to me about this, the Eric Andre joke, is that I think that part of what doesn't work about the other police brutality jokes, and a lot of ones that I've seen before, it takes it out of context too, of the rest of the world and like society and the history of police violence. Because it's not just like police brutality is going on now, how horrible is that, and innocent people are dying, because that's all true. But then there's also the part that's like the institutionalized racism of how the police force came to be and exists. And he calls it out like in his joke, in a joke, which is like so impressive. He like says like, this is a system set up by heterosexual white men, like businessmen, which is true. And also, to take it one step further, like the police force was started as like the KKK.
The slave catchers, actually.
People,
it started as, we're bringing you back for your employer, chattel. And
so
we're
like in that way
up.
They were businessmen, because they were like, here's your business.
No, literally. And they never really stopped. Like that's what it's founded on. That's what I mean, that's a big part of like abolishing the police and defunding, like those movements is based on the fact that you can't really reform something that's been broken forever.
Right.
That's built on it. Yeah.
Right.
And
It's
their
not
badges.
Like that's actually
It's not
working
built
exactly
on-
the way it's supposed to
Exactly.
work.
Right. It's not built on public safety. It's
No.
built on jury, judge, and executioner. Literally.
Mhm.
Their badges today, I don't know if it's true in New York, but I know that there are a lot of police badges that have the same symbols on them as the original like enslaved people catchers. Like they like just like, you know, it's they again, to use Elayna's word, copied and pasted. Like it's not like they
Nothing
are
original.
doing, no, it's not something that's evolved. It's just the modern version of something that it was created to be.
But to get back to Eric Andre for a second,
Yeah.
to your point, the reason why it's so funny is he is doing all these weird sound effects, this character, and he injects critical race theory
Yeah.
Yes.
into a joke, and it works.
My man.
Incredible.
My
It's
man.
just really the level of intelligence and writing that goes into it to do
Yes.
a bunch of silly sound effects. Like the joke is kind of almost slapstick, and yet there's such good writing in it that it works.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yep.
I guess it's just like this is almost feels like the final frontier, because to me this is a perfect joke about police brutality. Like I think it hits every single mark. I can't imagine a better joke, and I think it is like, what do you actually like almost a vote? Like, do you think a white man could tell this joke and it would be funny? Exactly how Eric did it with all of the perfect performance. Like, you was it just suggested that you thought they could?
No, I don't think
know.
I could tell it exactly as he told it, but if instead of doing the reggae music, the soundtrack came in at that point, you could also make, I mean, like there are ways to make that joke fit a different comedian that I still think comment on.
Right.
police brutality.
I even think you could even do the slapstick physicality of how outrageous and absurd the violence is.
Yeah.
I think that could still be possible because you're pointing out how crazy that show was to have aired. Like that's what you're viewing on the show.
Yes, right.
And that was okay.
For 20
and
years. For
Right.
20 years. It was the number one syndicated television show
Yikes.
in the country for 20 years.
Yeah, and stay tuned for Evan's TED Talk later about the show Cops. I think that
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Wait, I
That's
thought that's what we
crazy.
were recording right now. Also,
the new
Added-
the reboot.
a
TED
different
Talks are
idea
15
is
minutes, by the way.
like, yeah, we could follow the rules, or we could just like Rachel Dolezal Evan and then just make him say whatever we want.
Oh my god.
And I like the use of Rachel Dolezal as a verb.
Let's not forget what she did for us. But we
Don't
do have to
forget.
get into the writer's room, you guys.
We do. At this point, we're
Okay.
going to ask you to leave, Evan. Just take
Bye.
a break.
Evan's gonna take a step
Bye.
out of the writer's room this week. We're trying something new, you guys.
Can I still
gonna
listen?
No.
No,
We're gonna
No.
have
How will
Voice
you know? How will you
allowed.
know if I'm not listening?
Well,
this is the honor.
It'll be
system.
like
Okay,
the
well,
it'll be like the
honor
other
system
yes,
it'll
I
be
need
like
you
the
to-
other-
with a middle-aged white guy. That seems really innocent.
we know
of
you're
you,
listening
but
because
okay.
you're
You know what you
talking.
signed up for, Evan. Take
All
the
right.
headphones out your ears.
Goodbye.
All right, so welcome to the writer's room. We are going to write a joke that Evan can tell about police brutality and not get canceled for. I think that we've learned a lot. So what are our rules? I think that number one, make it clear where you stand on police brutality. It's
Right.
bad.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
It's
Anything
bad,
else?
everyone.
I think there's been like enough portrayals in media of like black people being brutalized that there is no need to create some like intense visual description
No.
of it. Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like a lot of the jokes are describing like going into too much detail about like the swollen, like all the horrible little details, and that I think the description of gore, maybe that's not, I don't know.
Right.
I
See,
don't know.
but I think the gore could be part of the absurdity.
Possibly.
Right?
Who am I?
24601.
But this is the thing. That's our fine line that we're going to have to figure out in this joke of Evan
Yes.
describing, because we need to set up that this is so bad and so awful and turn it on its head. I think that's what's going to make it funny.
Yeah.
But you're right. We don't need Evan. This is the thing. Evan as the white man does not need to be the center of the violence, right? Like
No.
he doesn't need to be beating his friend. He doesn't need to be beating some person he found. Like
No.
he needs to be,
Jesus.
you know what I mean? Like it's similar to like our rape jokes. He needs to
Dude, don't
separate
center
himself.
yourself
Right.
as the perpetrator. Yeah,
Yeah.
because then it
Exactly.
makes it too visceral and too real. Like,
Right.
we don't want to hear about you beating somebody to a pulp.
Right. Not
The
funny.
end. Not funny.
Yeah.
Anything else that we feel like is important?
There've been quite a few. I'm trying to think.
Be smart. Do a good job and don't do something dumb.
Be funny.
Be funny and be smart.
Yeah.
Even if it looks dumb, it should be smart.
I think
commit.
Right. I think the facts, adding the facts in there is so important. And part of the joke is talking about the real things that are happening surrounding police brutality.
Yeah. Listen, it's like part of what we're learning too, episode to episode, I think, is like not everything can just be a 1-2 punchline joke. Like that isn't necessarily the goal of writing a joke in this podcast. It's not to prove that you can write an easy setup punchline joke, because that's not true. Like a lot of
with these topics.
Yes. Especially with these topics. And I think that's a lot of the time what people expect when it's like, oh, well, like that's what no.
We've learned that too with a lot of the episodes we've recorded so far, trying to figure out how to write a joke. Sometimes it ends up being like a sketch or like a bit that would need to be animated, or like a joke that would only work on this very specific style of comedy show or like a movie or whatever. And it's like,
and when we get
could have
funding,
a character, literally, it's like, oh, well, this joke could work, but like we'd have to have a character in a show that's like this, and then they could say, so it's like you can think of vehicles to tell jokes.
Yeah.
But it's hard to like have a setup where that works. So it's hard. It's hard to
that's an important part. Like you don't have to joke about it, right? Like we're proving that you can tell something funny about it, but like
totally,
you don't have to be like, my whole show tonight has to surround police brutality. Like you actually don't have to bring it up.
All right, great, you guys. I think that was a solid list of rules. So let's think about some prompts that we can work off of. I think there's definitely something there with like the history of policing in America, the way that police unions operate, or like the like mob mentality of, or brotherhood, whatever, of police.
Good old boys. Yeah.
Good old boys. Yeah.
I think it could be funny to talk about like, when I grow up, I want to be a police officer, and like which like either like the harsh reality of like, oh, or like, I want to be a police officer so I can beat up this bully, like we could, I don't know. I feel like there's something we could do there.
It's like a little kid being
totally sure.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking donuts, mustaches. Those are my visual cues that are funny. It's not really about police brutality though, but that is something that could be contrasted, perhaps, like the more kind of fluffy side of policedom versus what they do so badly.
Yeah.
Right.
Like that Chief Wiggum energy of like silly, goofy.
You could almost tie those two ideas together, and it's like a little kid being like, when I grow up, I want to be police officer because you get to eat donuts and have cool mustaches. And then it's like,
and run people over.
And then it's like,
and their bully could literally be like, I want to be a police officer too, because I can beat the shit out of people.
Right.
Yeah. Like, wait, what? Is that the same job?
That could be profound. That could be something that Evan could set up. Like this one little boy talking about this, and like contrasting them and showing how
he could say something like, he could like set it up like, I have these two nephews or whatever, these two little cousins, and one of them told me they want to be a police officer, and he's like this sweet little kid, blah blah blah, like wants to eat donuts and like help people. Which is like, I can't even say that without laughing. Like
he's
the
a
idea that police help people.
He's a sweet little fat little kid who wants to help people.
Right.
He just wants to like take cats out of trees.
Donuts.
What could also be funny? What could also be funny is people not calling 911. Like the cases where people don't call 911 because we could bring in like what happens when people call the cops and like what should happen. There could be something there,
and it gets just
like
more
a new number,
extreme.
Like a different number to call. If there's like you've heard of 911, but now introduce like some bit about a different number to call when you actually need help.
Oh, that's funny.
Just us. We just show up for like
who would come up, like who's actually safe.
Who would show up?
We have like a 3-pack of Band-Aids. We're like, hey,
some Snoopy
like,
Band-Aids.
Who shows up in that world?
It's maybe like
who's the
grandma
superhero
for,
team?
like emotional support.
Yeah, with some cookies.
Some cookies.
There's a grandma. There's a big beefy guy. There's
Like a real hung, like a
a
beefcake.
child. Yeah. Then there's like a child. So it's like, oh, you don't do crime around a child, right?
Right.
And then maybe, I don't know. But I'm
You guys are in a joking way, but I think it's really funny in a joking way, just describing like defund the police. Just like
That's what it is.
I mean,
Community
like,
days, yeah.
oh, so yeah, what if we had like instead of police
The
showing up, like
psychologist.
a social worker,
Right.
like to actually help people, and like what if we had like a community, yeah, like it's like
Right.
oh wait, we
Wait.
thought of this.
maybe it's too real, but I mean, Evan could totally run with
Oh,
that.
that actually is
Totally
funny.
could. Whoops. Well, maybe we're not trying to push our political agenda, but
Oh, yes, we are.
But-
What is the point of a political agenda if not to be pushed? Like, why
Right.
does it exist otherwise?
Right. Agendas need to be pushed. Call
They
it something
have to
else if
be.
you don't want it to be pushed. A political party. I
Okay.
don't know.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
Cut that out.
No,
cut
keep
that
it.
out.
I keep it. I want the world to know.
Jesse, you can use your gift of discernment to decide which of this you're keeping.
I think those are a good couple prompts. I think we have something going. I kind of want to run with the idea also of like what we were talking about earlier, that all these like white people commit crime and get away with it, right? And it's like if you're black, you can literally just exist and they'll kill you,
right?
Or like beat you to a pulp. And
I feel sorry, go ahead.
no, so I was gonna say like maybe there's like something in there about like what happens when you're white and commit crime versus what happens when you're black and commit crime, or anybody who's not white in general. Like it's just like if you're white, like you're gonna end up like on a
Getting
Wheaties
McDonald's,
box.
right?
Like, yeah, you're the new toy in a kid's meal.
Yes,
and
right.
Then if you're
'cause
black,
also you have to be a fucking genius to be a person of color and commit crime successfully. Like you can be the bottom of the barrel to commit crime as a white person.
well, it's also like I think the thought running through like a white person's head when they're committing crime is like, how do I avoid getting caught? And then if it's a black person, it's like, how do I avoid being killed? Like it's like the stakes, the discrepancy in the stakes are just very drastic.
How do I not get unalived?
Yeah.
I have an idea for a joke that could work, but it's definitely like a deviation from, I feel like, the setups we've done. Like I don't know, but I can try it and you guys tell me what you think, and then maybe we can mess with it. Or if it's not hitting, it's not hitting. We could just like move on. Okay. Yeah. But maybe something that's like starts with like a piece of news, like a headline, like a driver was arrested for an attempted hit and run last night in New York. I'm sure that happened. I don't know. A piece of information, and then it being like, in an official statement to the press, the police chief said, "It's an incredibly unfortunate incident. We try to teach by example that if you're going to kill an innocent person, you better make sure they're not white, and you better make sure you get the job done the first time, or like you finish the job the first time. And like our thoughts and prayers are with the drivers, or our thoughts and prayers are with the driver's self-esteem at this time." Or like a bit like that, like a short bit.
Yeah, I think that's like a good end of the joke. Like I feel like there needs to be like a little like setup before to like introduce us to that idea. Because I think like out of context, like if it's just that, like you almost by the time you like realize what you're saying, like you miss the fact that you said make sure they're not white. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
So I feel like we need like a little ramp up to that, but I don't know.
Wait, Mehek, so I really like this idea for like a skit, but I just wonder I wonder how we can make the physical comedy physical comedy to show that we're actually not pro police brutality. Like we're trying to show that this is bad. Like, haha, we're on the position of like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
Do you think the format works for it, or do you think we should go a different route?
I think the format works.
I'm open. I mean,
yeah,
I'm down for
I just wonder how it would open up. Like, would he get like a tabloid? Like, would he get like a notification on his phone of like the news? Like it seems like a breaking news situation, but then that's not a joke setup. I don't know.
The joke setup could just be like, I feel like we have an issue with the way that cops are trained, or like Or we can say like, clearly we have an issue with police brutality in America. That could be like the start of it.
We can do the juxtaposition of like white people committing crime and black people committing crime, and then have the example of like, yeah, breaking news, the police chief wants everyone to know, like, I don't know.
The bit can be the example of like the driver got arrested, blah, 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 whatever. But with the context of like, do you know, is that what you're saying? Like setting it up with having that first joke be the context of to be a white person and commit crime, da 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 da. To be a black person and commit crime, da 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 da. In fact, last night a driver was arrested for blah blah blah.
The driver clocked at or like in the hit and run last night. Police showed up and clocked that the driver wasn't white. So then they proceeded to run them over. I don't know, like something
that could be something
like. Something.
Oh, it could be the same setup of like driver was arrested last night for an attempted hit and run.
The driver was a policeman. Wait, what if the reveal is like a driver was there was a hit and run last night. Police say they're on the case, like blah 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 blah. Let's write this down. This is the joke. This is the joke. Mehek, I feel like you're the best. Wanted.
Okay, here, I'll write it down.
Yeah, will you write it down?
Like, have you guys been seeing
I've
this
stopped
like
the
wanted?
sentence at I feel like you're the best. I just went, that's the end of the sentence.
You're our best stenographer.
I feel like your dad's gonna want like a beginning of a setup that's like,
it needs to be, I'm in
the audience, like, have you guys been seeing these wanted signs around? I don't know, like, have you guys been seeing
police have recently issued like this huge search.
There was an Amber Alert. Like, I'm surprised you didn't see it.
The
really fucked up what this guy's doing on it. Like, it's like the list is like
said stuff like
it's spontaneous strangulation.
Yeah, like putting
he's strangling random people.
Yes. Spontaneous strangulation. He drove into a Whole Foods.
He drove into a Whole Foods. He beat up a little kid. Okay, so I wrote it down.
Okay. The police have recently issued a huge search. I don't want to read the whole thing because I don't want it to be like the final version we hear out loud from Evan, and then maybe we can hone it after he says it the first time.
Should we get him back on the?
Yeah, I'm gonna call him back. Move here. Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's like he operated.
Okay, we wrote a joke.
Okay.
We
highlighted.
The writers' room had a tough time, I think, with this one because A, there were so many different directions to go that we were a little bit overwhelmed, and B, like, what is the line? You know, where's the line between the absurdity? It's like, where's the line between the Family Guy and the Eric Andre violence? You know, like that's the spectrum. So, but we think we've written something that we can run with a little bit. So I'm gonna share it with you now, and you'll read it, and then read it over, read the words, and then you'll present it to us, and then we'll hone it. Okay, it's in the chat.
So I was reading, the police have recently issued this huge search for a wanted criminal. I don't know if you heard about it. The wanted criminal is wanted for, wait, I want to get my phone and get this out and get this right. Spontaneous public strangulation. Apparently he drove into a Whole Foods. He beat the shit out of a little kid in a hoodie. He's like doing the worst shit imaginable. And on top of that, can't be convicted, can't be caught. He's totally invincible. Everyone loves them. Wait, shit. It's actually the police chief. There's a picture of him at his desk. He's totally chill. Never mind. Scratch everything I just said.
Good job, Evan.
Good job. Look, he even convinced us he's getting his little phone out, little improv moment.
That was good improv. I was like, you're getting your proud of you.
He's messing
I
up.
needed a reason to be reading it.
I'm reading it on my Google Glasses.
I quite like that.
That was method.
Good. His method.
That was good.
Give me
you got an applause. Yeah. Okay. I think you know what? I think we didn't fail.
We didn't fail.
I think we didn't fail. I think
looking like a Jewish mother. You didn't fail.
You didn't fail. I think we could do better, but I also think that we we got a solid joke in there. So I'm proud of us. And for our viewers and listeners at home, if you think that you can do better, we would love to hear your jokes, good, bad. We will judge them. We will tell them on this podcast, possibly. So write in on Instagram at cancelculture_pod and let us know what your jokes are. And until next time, this has been Cancel Culture.
Bye.
Bye.